Hey guys, AJ Hazzy here, and it is time for the Q1 Vantage report, and what a quarter we have had. Now this will come as a surprise to absolutely no one, but the market is red hot. How hot, you might ask? Well, to give you some context, we haven't seen anything close to this since the run of 2006 and 2007. And even then, I don't think we ever had inventory at 1 month. Working with buyers, though, is definitely reminiscent of 2007, when there were 18 offers on every listing, and to win one, you had to be well over list price with as few subjects, if any, on the contract. So let's start with sales numbers. So far in Q1, sales are up 220% compared to this time last year. This is a massive jump, and we haven't even hit the spring market yet. Sales volumes have jumped nearly 300% because on top of more homes selling, the average transaction value has jumped as well. You can see here that the average amount of money changing hands on a real estate deal is now over $700,000, which is a 25% jump year over year. So what is this average transaction? Well, last year I reported that the average size of a property was up considerably, and we've seen this now level off as the average square footage is actually a couple percentage points below where we were this time last year. This is where affordability intersects with desire. People are opting for more square footage if they can, but now that prices have jumped, budget constraints are playing a major factor. Now, speaking of dollars and cents, I reported last year that homes were selling for an average of a 3% discount. I'm sure this is no shock to anyone, but that discount rate has all but evaporated, with the average sale price at nearly 100%. Now, we've all heard the stories of bidding wars and homes selling for $100K over list, but this is not the norm. It is, however, happening a fair bit. The biggest headline has to be luxury sales. Here you can see that property sales over 1 million has exploded by nearly 6-fold. This has to do with the trend of people fortifying and people migrating here from Vancouver once again, now that their market has caught fire after a few years of sluggish sales. Now here's a stat I was surprised to learn. New listings are actually up 17% over last year. All we hear about is the low inventory, which leads one to believe that no one's willing to list their house. But that's not the case. Lots of people are opting to cash in. There's just so much bleep in demand that there's 10 ready-to-act buyers for every new listing that hits. The absorption rate, meaning the number of active listings divided by the number of monthly sales, has not been this low in my 20-year career. As I said, we're down to almost 1 month of inventory. And this time last year, we were in a balanced 6 months, so what a difference a year makes. So how big of a deal is this absorption rate I'm always yammering on about? Well, look at this graph. Here, you can see the direct inverse correlation between inventory levels and prices. You can see clearly that as inventory rates plummet, prices skyrocket. If I left this graph up for a while, which I won't because you don't have the attention span for a long video, you would see that every little peak and valley along this 10-year chart corresponds with inventory levels as they rise and fall. So everyone keeps asking, when are things going to change? When will the pendulum swing back to the favor of the buyer? Well, this is the major indicator to watch. You can see in 2016 and 2018, we were on a good run. And then the government released a number of policy measures to slow the market. And it did work for a period of time. Things corrected slightly, as you can see. While they've just released a plan to make qualifying more difficult in June. This is going to hurt the borrowing power of the average buyer, and coupled with prices that have already risen, may make a renter out of a good chunk of the buying population. Now, a bunch of sellers will be hearing this and thinking, holy crap, I better get my home on the market ASAP. Many of those sellers are going to try and price their home based on some crazy 100K over list price scenario they heard about, and it may not sell. This could be the tipping point that takes us out of the overheated and back into balanced territory. Now, I don't see a major correction happening this summer, but hopefully, as the weather heats up, the market cools off just enough to bring some sanity back. The other measure being considered right now is creating some transparency to the bidding process, so we don't have people spending $50,000 more than they had to because of their fear of missing out. This worked really well in Ontario, so it will likely be adopted here, so stay tuned for that. Okay, that was a ton of info. To summarize, super hot market, policy changes coming in June that may slow things down a bit. If you're a seller and you're thinking of selling this year, now is the time to act. If you're a buyer and this new stress test might take you out of the buying pool, now is the time to act. In either case, you can start the process from right here on the video blog. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this tremendously helpful. If you have questions about the market that I haven't answered, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me very easily from right here on the video blog. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you at the end of the second quarter.